Who is this actually good for, who should skip it, and is it worth the price for normal everyday buyers? If you're sitting at your desk wondering whether a pre-built gaming rig can actually replace a custom high-end machine, or if you're just looking for a console-level experience without the hassle of building, you're in the right spot. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The biggest hesitation most people have with a pre-built like the Corsair Vengeance i7500 is that the headline specs 14th Gen Intel Core i7, RTX 4070 Ti Super, 32GB of DDR5 look too good to be true for the price tag. In real life, the question comes down to whether those components translate into a smooth, everyday gaming experience, and whether you'll be left with any hidden compromises that make the purchase feel like a mismatch. Let's start with the kind of setup you're likely to have. The i7500 arrives in Corsair's 3500X ARGB mid-tower, a case that's clearly designed to show off lighting, but also to keep airflow decent without needing you to tweak custom fan curves. In a typical bedroom or small home office, the tower fits comfortably under a desk or next to a monitor stand, and the tempered glass side panel lets you see the RGB memory and liquid cooler. If you already own a 27-inch 144Hz monitor, the RTX 4070 Ti Super will push most current titles past 100 frames per second at high settings, which means you'll see real motion without any stutter. That's a practical benefit for anyone who streams on Twitch or just wants a fluid single-player experience in games like Elden Ring or Cyberpunk 2077 Star. Now, who should actually buy this? First, gamers who want a ready-to-play PC that can handle both AAA titles and future releases without a major upgrade in the next couple of years. The 32GB DDR5 memory means you won't be swapping RAM when you open heavy mods or run multiple applications while gaming. It's also a solid choice for content creators who need to edit 4K footage or run video editing software alongside games. The combination of a high-end CPU and a fast 1TB NVMe SSD means rendering times stay reasonable and game load screens barely pause. If you're a competitive player who lives for high refresh rates, the RTX 4070 Ti Super's ray tracing core will let you turn off ray tracing for max FPS. But you still have the power to toggle it on for visuals when you're not in a tournament setting. On the other side of the ledger, there are clear reasons to skip this machine. If you're on a tight budget and plan to game on a budget, the i7500's price might feel steep compared to building a comparable system yourself, especially if you're comfortable assembling parts. The case's ARGB lighting is eye candy, but it adds cost without improving performance. For someone who only plays less demanding games like indie titles, older RPGs, or esports titles that run fine on mid-range GPUs, the RTX 4070 Ti Super is overkill. You'll likely be paying for horsepower you'll never truly need. Also, the pre-built nature means you're locked into Corsair's internal layout. If you want to swap out the cooler for a custom loop or upgrade to a bigger SSD in the future, you'll have to navigate the case's cable management and proprietary brackets, which can be a hassle for a first-time builder. Let's talk practical strengths. The liquid cooling on the 14th Gen Intel Core i7-14700KF does what it claims. It keeps the processor under 75°C even during 30-minute marathon gaming sessions. In everyday use, this translates into quieter operation compared to air-cooled high-performance rigs, because the pump's noise is minimal and the fans only kick in when temperatures climb. That matters if you game late at night and don't want the fan whine to interfere with voice chat. The SSD's 1TB capacity gives you room for the OS, a few large games, and a decent library of Steam titles. Real-world testing shows load times in Red Dead Redemption 2 drop from about 45 seconds on a SATA drive to roughly 12 seconds on this NVMe drive, a difference you'll notice if you hate waiting at launch screens. Weaknesses are more subtle but worth noting. The case's front I/O includes USB-C, USB 3.2, and a headphone jack, But there's only one USB-C port and it's positioned behind the power button, which can be inconvenient when you have a lot of peripherals. Additionally, the pre-built doesn't come with a high refresh monitor, so if you're buying this without a 144Hz display you won't reap the full benefit of the GPU's output. The power supply is a standard 650W unit adequate for the current configuration, but if you ever consider adding a second SSD or a larger storage array, you'll be flirting with the PSU's headroom, especially if you overclock the CPU later on. Finally, the RGB memory, while visually impressive, consumes a small amount of power and adds to the total heat output, meaning the liquid cooler does a bit more work than it would on a non-RGB kit. That's not a deal breaker, but it's a trade-off you